Well, I'd like to welcome Dr. Khalil Hamdani, who is a visiting professor at the Graduate Institute of Development Studies, the Lahore School of Economics. Welcome, Dr. Khalil Hamdani. He started his career as a research economist at the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics in 1975 and went on to serve with the United Nations for the next 30 years. He is the former director of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Sustainable Development, UNCTAD. Dr. Hamdani has been involved in multilateral economic cooperation for more than 3 decades, and he received his doctorate in economics from Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. So Dr. Khalil Hamdani, you have now been visiting the Graduate Institute of Development Studies for the last 2 years. This is your second time over here. What is your impression of the Institute, of the course that you are offering the students, and what suggestions would you like to give us in how we can take this interaction with you forward?
Well, thank you, Faria. I'm very pleased to be here and to come every year for 1 month. Not quite long enough, but you've managed to structure it in a way where I could give lectures, to interact with the students, and also contribute to the research program of the larger Lahore School of Economics. So I found it very rewarding. The program has been rather packed, so 3 weeks it doesn't sound like much, but it goes into publications of articles that go through the year. So it's very rewarding for me, and it's an opportunity, I think, also to stay in touch with the homeland. So.
Thank you, Dr. Hamdani. In terms of the course, can you suggest any areas which we might look into including in the future? I know we've had recently just held the conference on the Pakistani diaspora, strengthening linkages between home and host countries, and you were one of the speakers at the conference, and I think this linkages between the diaspora and the homeland is something that Pakistan can really benefit from. So would you like to give your impressions of the conference and how you think we can move forward on this?
Yes, I think the Graduate Institute has a particular niche to fill. It's not just an ordinary college or university where you have a curriculum that covers every subject. It builds on students, it takes students to the next level after having completed a number of years of education. And the Graduate Institute has a research program on new issues. The program, the course that I'm teaching is in globalization, on which the subject matter is constantly changing year by year. So every lecture is new. And you've just mentioned a very interesting topic, a new topic of migration, remittances, and diaspora. So these are the topics I think the Institute should go into. The question of how do you assess remittances. Remittances are seen as a positive. And certainly at the conferences that you just mentioned, there were a number of papers documenting the positive role that migrants, even migrants with very basic skills, can contribute back through remittances. But it's a larger contribution that they can make, and the diaspora can contribute to learning, to encouraging partnership, to working with business here in Pakistan, while the diaspora is located overseas, and particularly through knowledge sharing. The fact that I live in Switzerland doesn't prevent me from knowledge sharing through the Graduate Institute. So the Graduate Institute creates a corridor, a knowledge corridor to share technology, knowledge, and similar patterns can be created with science and technology institutes, medical institutes, and the like. Pakistan has a huge diaspora. We need to tap into it.
I think one issue that emerged at the conference was the lack of information that we really have on the diaspora, because when we were developing the program for the conference and looking at the different corridors, the linking corridors between Pakistan and Britain, the UK, Pakistan and Europe, and of course Pakistan and the United States, we found that very little work had really been done. So is there some way in which we can also encourage the Pakistani diaspora, the people, the scholars who live abroad, to begin to work in this particular area?
I think so. I think one of the very useful outcomes of the recent conference was the identification of diaspora in the UK, for example, in the Gulf region, in the United States, in other parts of the world like Australia, and to quantify it. And we had some very good papers documenting the numbers of migrants going to these regions, their background, the difficulties they encounter in getting access permits to work overseas, the obstacles that they face that can be overcome, and we also have some initial understanding of the problems they face in their new host countries, and including, there were some very interesting presentations on transnational marriages and political engagement of the diaspora in the host countries. I think this is an area that needs further work, and if it develops nicely, it could be an excellent contribution.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalil Hamdani, for being here today and for this discussion, both in the context of your engagement with the Graduate Institute of Development Studies, and your views on how we can go forward. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.